Look at the 99th percentile of earners. Doctors, corporate lawyers, specialized engineers. They pull in massive salaries, yet frequently wake up realizing they have no actual financial freedom. They are highly compensated, but economically vulnerable. To understand why, we have to define what capital is actually for. The Harvard Grant Study, the longest-running study on human happiness in history, arrived at a singular conclusion. Happiness is driven by the quality of our relationships, and it is incredibly difficult to be present for the people you love when you are constantly stressed about money. The highest utility of capital is the freedom to control your own time. Economic security is a strict mathematical threshold. It is the exact point where the income your assets generate passively exceeds the cost of your daily life. We treat wealth like a lottery, a byproduct of the right zip code, or the reward for blindly following a passion. But outside of extreme luck, generating wealth is a systemic, engineered process. Professor and entrepreneur Scott Galloway distills this process into a specific equation. Wealth equals focus plus the product of Stoicism, time, and diversification. Because these elements act as multipliers, a 0 in any one category neutralizes a massive baseline salary. Missing a single variable is how a professional making $500,000 a year functionally remains part of the working poor. The formula starts with focus. Society constantly tells young professionals to follow their passion. Economically, this is terrible advice. Leverage comes from finding the intersection between what you are naturally capable of doing and what the market actively values. Passion does not create mastery. Passion is the byproduct of achieving mastery and being recognized for it. Take Steve Jobs. If he had pursued his personal passions as a young man, he would have been a Zen Buddhist monk or a calligrapher. His actual market-valued talent was recognizing and marketing personal computing technology. Focus requires macro positioning. You have to align your human capital with macroeconomic tidal waves. 20 years ago, that was e-commerce. Today, it is the dispersion of healthcare and fintech. You need to put yourself directly in the path of industry-wide growth. Then comes micro-positioning. Warren Buffett famously advises writing down your top 25 life goals, circling the top 5, and actively avoiding the other 20 at all costs. You protect your few great goals by ruthlessly eliminating the merely good ones. There is also a biological return on investment to focus. Rigorous physical exercise is a hard economic input. It treats depression, sustains mental endurance, and builds the physical capacity required to concentrate on complex tasks for long stretches. Focus is the single mechanism for generating baseline human capital. It converts raw effort into your maximum earning potential, satisfying the first variable before the multipliers take over. Next is Stoicism. In an economic context, this means emotional regulation applied to capital and the strict prevention of lifestyle inflation. Look at this graph tracking income and expenses. If your spending rises in lockstep with your salary, your investable capital is 0. True wealth is generated strictly within this shaded delta, the space between what you earn and what you consume. Every micro-consumption carries an opportunity cost. A $5 daily coffee habit costs $150 a month. Compounded at a 7% return over 30 years, that same capital grows to over $180,000. This is why an investment banker pulling in $2 million a year, but burning it all on private schools and luxury rentals, is mathematically poor. Meanwhile, a pensioner earning $50,000 a year but only spending $40,000 is functionally rich. Spending habits dictate economic class, not W-2 income. Stoicism also dictates how you handle failure. When Galloway's early e-commerce venture, Red Envelope, went bankrupt, he lost $70,000. Ben starts at 30, invests a total of $150,000, and keeps going until age 60. Despite investing 3 times as much principal, Ben never catches up. Alex finishes with more total capital, purely because those early 10 years established a steeper angle for the compounding curve. Harnessing this math requires the rule of apathy. The most successful investors automate their deposits into tax-advantaged accounts, buy index funds, and remain intentionally bored by their portfolios. They do not check their balances daily, and they do not panic sell during a dip. Time in the market permanently defeats timing the market. Time is the only variable capable of converting linear labor into geometric capital growth, but its exponential nature ruthlessly punishes delay. The final multiplier is diversification. This is the stabilizer, designed to ensure that no single bad decision or unlucky break results in total financial ruin. Think of this as a Kevlar framework. Diversification does not prevent you from taking a hit in the market. It prevents the hit from being economically fatal. During the dot-com crash of the early 2000s, tech employees who held 100% of their net worth in their own company's stock were entirely wiped out when the bubble burst. Concentration is a gamble, not a strategy. Warren Buffett famously wagered that a passively managed S&P 500 index fund would beat a group of elite hedge funds over a decade. The index fund returned 126%. The actively managed funds returned 36%. True diversification requires building a broader resilience infrastructure. That means maintaining a 6 to 12-month liquid emergency fund, securing appropriate health and disability insurance, and building multiple, decoupled streams of income. By capping your downside exposure, diversification guarantees that macroeconomic mean reversion works in your favor. It shields your geometric growth from localized collapse. Even with the formula running perfectly, standard employment has a structural ceiling. Trading linear hours for a fixed salary can never scale beyond the finite time in a day. To generate serious wealth, you have to decouple your earnings from the hours you work. That requires acquiring equity, whether through restricted stock units, intellectual property, or outright business ownership. Acquiring that equity requires surviving the hustle phase. Early in a career, there is no passive path. You have to trade extreme active effort, often 60-hour work weeks, to build the leverage necessary to command equity later. Statistically, only 1 out of every 7 businesses succeeds. Risk-taking must be a high-volume activity, which means your tolerance for rejection must be incredibly high. Your professional trajectory correlates directly to your willingness to ask for things, to fail publicly, and to endure social friction when an endeavor falls apart. An asymmetric appetite for upfront labor and rejection is the cost of entry for equity. It serves as the ignition switch that powers the rest of the wealth formula. When the equation functions correctly, it produces capital. But capital accumulation is completely hollow without a target. The ultimate goal of this entire architecture is time and human connection. While we calculate wealth in spreadsheets, its durability often hinges on a human variable that manages the inputs. Choosing who you decide to raise a family with is the most significant economic choice you will ever make. That partner becomes the co-manager of your focus, your stoicism, and your burn rate. This explains the empirical data. Married individuals experience a 77% greater per-person net worth increase compared to their single counterparts. However, a partnership cannot operate like a ledger. Galloway notes that to maintain a relationship, you have to stop keeping a transactional scorecard. You build lasting stability by viewing your partner as an unearned gift, a Bain skateboard, bringing forgiveness and engagement instead of constant measurement. Once your immediate family is secure, there is a broader mandate. Millions of young people are growing up in a societal deficit of capable role models. True economic maturity is reaching a state of surplus value, where you produce more than you consume, allowing you to protect and mentor those entirely outside your own household. From this vantage point, the algebra of wealth serves a clear, specific function. Wealth is the defensive architecture you engineer to achieve absolute sovereignty over your own life, providing the capacity to elevate the people around you.